when you interview to a big company, so they will have different competencies assigned to the interviewer to interview you. For example, the competency I took today, yeah, is clean coding and maintainability. So that's why I want you to focus more on maintainability than just solving the problem. Okay, so before going to the coding problem, I want to ask you a question. How does clean and maintainable code look like?
Yeah, I think
Hi, thank you for
hi,
joining the interview. So, how are you today?
good, thanks, and you?
Yeah, good. And are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, let's start with the first question. Can you tell me about a time when you were trying to understand a complex problem on your team and you had to dig into the details to figure it out?
Okay. Uh, so I think we could start with my job 5 years ago when I just graduated from my university and work in a very big company. So at that time I was just junior developer and I received um, a task to implement features. In that case, it's like introduce a new element in our palette tools, in our ID tool. So at that time, I have to read all the code and investigate on the features story that's done by the other developers in order to break the task, the story into several small tasks and start to do. And there's another issue related to our system design because when we introduce new element, we need to design our class to make sure that this is the new element work in its current design. And it took me a lot of time to investigate on the code and to ask within other experienced developers to know what to do. Yeah.
Yeah, so you said that it took you a lot of time. So how much exactly? How much time exactly?
I remember it took me a day just to read the story, understand what it is, and investigate into our current projects, our current code, our current design of the classes, and choose the solution. So as I remember, that time is the actual task is that even introduce a new element. It's a new operator in our current ID tool. So in that case,
Yeah.
I need to cover where the operator class in the project and how I can add a new type of operator in that design.
So so you said that you also asked some coworker about the source code, right? So
Yes.
yeah. So what does you ask?
Okay. So at first I asked, so if I want to do this, what I have to do? So they give me some hint. It's like, okay, go to that class. This is the operator class. And inside of that, there's also some factories. And I remember there's a squid case there. So in order to add a new element, just go to that squid case and add another type for the new element, for the new operator. And yeah, and it works, but several things you need to think about because each operator has its own pins, the number of pins input and output.
Yeah.
Just like for add operator, we have 2 input and 1 output. For the others, there's no difference. So that also needs to be checked. And because of that, so they will introduce the new operators, extend the superclass, the operator class. And based on that, there is some changes like the number of pins, its behavior, and something like that. I don't remember exactly because it's a long time ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, why do you think that one is complex? So if other people take that task, so what do you think? Do you think that they can finish that faster or even slower than you?
Yeah, I think that because at that time this project is a really unique project because we use the framework to build the ID tool, and I think it's not really many. The number of projects in Vietnam doing that kind of framework is so rare. So not so many people have experience on that, and also the project has started 3 years ago before I joined. So there's a lot of complex things. A lot of the code is really complicated. So it could take some time to read the code, to know what to do. I think we can do it easily by doing by ourselves. But in that case, we will frac our structures, we will frac our design, and it means that if we commit the code or implementation into Jurit for the other developers, not only in Vietnam, also in Germany, to review the code, it's this 100% that they will reject our implementation because it's not fixed the current structure.
I see. Yeah, that's good. So let's move to the next question. How does clean and maintainable code look like?
Yeah, I think the easy way to think about is just, I remember it's a meme, is that at code review, how many WTF numbers of WTF happens in the code review section? It is, because the less is the cleaner the code are the code is according to what I know. So simple like that. So at first it should be easy to read for non-developer to understand what it is, and the commit could be it could be as small as it can. I mean, we can do a big commit with several changes in several files. It's really hard for other developers to review. It could be as small as we can, and this is well structured. The number we don't have anything like a really big class, a really big method. Everything should be kept as small as we can, and break it down into several methods or several classes. Yeah, and follow principle like solid principle. Naming the variable could be an easy way for many people to easy to understand. Yeah, something like that in my mind.
Sure. So yeah, let's keep that in mind and based on this question. So before that, I think I will share the screen. The question for you today is that given a string S contains the brackets such as the parentheses, so write a validator class to validate if the string is valid. Yeah, it only contains bracket. It doesn't contain
Just
any
bracket.
other character.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you want to do a validator is that string valid, it is just contain brackets.
Yeah.
And do we care about the numbers of open and close brackets? Just like that, we have 3 open brackets, 2 close brackets.
Yeah.
Is this a valid one or is this an invalid one?
That one is invalid.
Okay. Okay, so my idea is that we have a stack, and every time we reach the open bracket, we put that to the stack, and every time we reach the close bracket, we off the stack. So we do the scan on the string, and when we reach the end of the string, we check the size of the stack. So if it's empty, it means a valid one. Otherwise, it's invalid one.
So do you know how is a stack implemented in Java?
How is stack implemented in Java? I haven't looked into how it's implemented, but I guess it could be. I guess it could be like something like inside. It could be on a right list. I guess. Or it's just my guess.
Okay. Okay.
It could so, I guess.
So that's it. Okay. So can you
Yes, I think we do
how do
something
you
like
test the code?
a quick test. Okay. So assume that we have a string like this one.
Mm-hmm.
So we do scan element from the Java. So like stack is push that one first. First at the first loop, the stack we push that
Mm-hmm.
C. So in that case, that's our stack would be open brackets. And then that two is put another because equal to is swap. So stack size is empty. And this right now is the scan, the for loop. And this return a stack size here is 0. So this is true. So our first case could work. So what if this is have another thing like that? So that's first step, and so we stack here. Second proof that another. And so some this pop. So besides here is that we still have one open bracket remaining. And it's return a stack size. In that case, one is not equal to 0, so this is false. And this is right. Let's do another with the okay. I think we do another test. Maybe like that one. We have just one open bracket, but two closed brackets. Okay, it's going to be the same first step. It's going to be stack to. Oh, but here's the thing. In that case, I think we could work. Second one, so it can be false. But if it's just an empty string.
Why for this one it return false?
Yes. First step, stack equal to. We have the first open brackets there, and then we go to the next characters. It's a closed one. So because it's a closed one, so we do a path in stack. It means that we remove the last element in the stack. As we know, stack that case is the empty one. And because we haven't finished yet, our string yet, we go ahead and read another close brackets. And that case, okay. So in that case, it's another close one, and do the path of the empty stack. Okay. This stack empty. So I think we do something here. So if the stack is empty, Insertion false here. Otherwise, just pushing false. Yeah, good work in that case. Except the code is
Okay.
for, yeah. And because it's empty, so it's returning false. You can miss that space. Yeah. So what if it's empty? We scan all things back is the form. Yeah. So in that case, empty is to accept it or we don't accept it. An empty string.
So yeah.
Currently, the current algorithm accept it, but if we don't, we just have to do some guard to make sure that it's not the empty one.
Yeah, it is okay to treat empty string as valid case.
Yeah.
So yeah, now I have a question.
Yes.
So what do you think in this code you can improve to make it more generic and more extensible?
Yes. So I'm thinking about this if statement inside this inside of the close brackets case, because I think it looks a little bit dirty in my mind. So let me think here's another way. Okay. I think maybe we can replace the if statement by squid case, because in the future maybe we do something like we accept another kind of brackets.
Yep. So let's take another example, like you have something like this. So you will have curly bracket and square bracket as well. Yeah. So how to make your solution work with those bracket?
Yes. So in that case, we have 3 steps. Okay. Three steps one. Yes. Hang on. But I'm just thinking about another, because if we have 3 types of brackets, we need to know which one is correct one. Just like we go with here, and then we go inside there. Then we go. So this is valid, but if it is,
yeah, that's one valid.
So that's one. It could be not this time. Okay.
Yeah. That is invalid.
Yes, it's also invalid because it's. Yep. Push that one, another. Okay. So in that case, we need to check the value we're going to pass to make sure that they're the same type brackets. Otherwise, it's an invalid one. Yep. And we just need to use one stack. Yep. I put one stack here, and then okay.
Okay. Can you modify your code to?
Sure. Give me a second. So it's put into okay. So that's going to be here, and that's going to be C equal to. I come with a dirty one solution first before we can improve something. And that's going to be this and push that into C. Okay. To that one. Okay, so line stop. Grab this. language apps.
So you use a map for
Yeah, thinking about we have a map that we can link between the open and close brackets of each type. Because I don't want to make the codes complicated, because after we get the open brackets, he'll need to check again. So which guy, which is, also we can use something like stack of big, and we get the test number. Yeah, we can be, but sometimes it's complicated. So if we get it, we just get the elements is, we can compare exactly. Okay. So in that case, we go int first. So I would assume that we can push it before going to the static method. It's not working in Java, but assuming we have that, so we have.
Yep. So, but how to make it work in Java?
We have something called a static block.
Static block.
Yes.
Okay.
And it could run before the I think it could work before that, and then we can do like map put here. And use that map put the bucket. We have 3 elements.
Okay.
And here we just map dot get the open brackets. And that is the suite of values. The values close brackets. Step off. And whatever is out if the values close. If you can then see yep. We get the one who was hot present. Yes, open bracket. Yeah, good works. Good work. We should replace this by
So
the content keys here. Yeah, maybe, but
do you think that this code is easy for people to read it?
no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can replace this by this one can be replaced by the content key. C. We can see C1. I'm sure we have the content values. Could have. But we have already just the use as the design. I can use that and get that. Okay. So we have a C. One set of C. Careful. I think there's another one that we can do, like storing the previous column.
So you replace if else with this case. Okay.
Just to make sure it's more easier to read. That one. So this the open cases. Okay, we just stack the fish. Scatters.
But do you think this one is extensible?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so how to make the code extensible and clean at the same time?
To do that, I think you should apply some design pattern inside here. But I haven't been. I'm just thinking how we can apply it. Just like we have to separate into two parts. Yep. Maybe we have to do is move that one. The method we call this is return anything. No. This one certificate. Smash down to return nothing. No, that was square. Service stack.
Do we need to pass any parameter?
Yes, of course. The stack first, and then undo forms. not back yet. So that's practice now. So we already have it. So we have to do no things. That is C, and also the current characters C. Just that, and let's see. Uh,
Is C a good naming variable?
of course, it's not a good value variable. So we see that's the current characters or something. So this is current characters. This is yeah, could be also like that. Could be fine. But this can rename it a bracket stack. Before yes, bracket stack. Two fonts. Okay. So if this is return a little bit simple, but still there. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there anything else?
I have certain points. It still look dirty, I guess, but how can we do this? Let's see, go here.
Okay, you want to refactor the line number 24, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think because we already have the brackets there, the bracket map. So, oh no, but this in that case, this is the end one. Because the glow one is not necessary. It's just one.
Yeah. How to make it extensible and efficient?
Yeah, I think the other way is that we can do stack pick or something. Just get the last element we just without removing it, and when we get in the last element, hang on.
I mean that the line number 24, so you check if C is a closed bracket, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how to make that line that check is more extensible and more efficient?
The other thing is that we can introduce another set for all the closed bracket.
Okay.
And then just make sure this contains into that set. So if it is, it could be a closed characters.
Okay, can you write the code for that?
Yep, so we still have another structures there, like set characters, close brackets. And use a new set. And use it as close brackets. Use that, which is easily add. That is replaced by and C. Yeah, can be like that. So it can be extended because we can add another element, another of our set, and so back is back there. So it
Okay.
should be fine. Yep. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, the code looks much better right now. So I think so. I think in terms of coding, so I think it's good enough for me right now.
Yeah. Thank you.
So yeah, I just want to hear if you can point out all the things that you think you should do from beginning to get the clean and extensible code instead of doing a lot of refactor.
Yeah.
So yeah, what would you do from beginning?
So from beginning, I think the thing about the we just to predict what we can extend is like we can predict that we can support another kind of package or something like that. And by thinking about it first, I think we can have an open mind when we write our code. We just think that we cannot do some hack coding for each statement. And we come to the idea that we can need to introduce another data structure to solve that problem. And yeah, I think that's the way that we can solve these problems to make the code more extendable at the beginning without refactoring the code like what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that our interview is done now.
Thank you.
Yep. So I just want to give you some feedback. So this is just kind of the feedback. You got this feedback because it's a mock interview in the real one, so you won't get anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, before going to the feedback section, so do you have any question for me?
No, I think that was the moment.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So regarding to the question I asked about a time when you had to dive deep, had to dig into a problem to understand it. So yeah, I think that the problem you told me is a good one to show that you have the ability to dive deep into a complex thing. But what I expected is that you could show a more impressive one, right? Because the example you gave is 5 years ago. So yeah, and what I expect is that during your career, so you will solve more and more complex problem by the time, right? Like yeah, during last 5 years, so I believe that you have shown much more complex problem than that, and you have to dig into the details uh, with a lot more effort you have to spend. Uh, the example was one day, right? You have to spend one day to resolve the to understand the problem and resolve it. But I expect that if the example can be kind of something that take longer, that is really complicated, can take you a week, 2 weeks, and you can still dig into the problem and figure out, and also show more impact to the team, to the real product of the organization. So it would prove more thing than just something like for a beginner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that yeah, in the case if you kind of 5 years ago when you did not have many experience, so the example is really good. But now you are more experienced, so what I expect is that something kind of bigger, more impressive. Yeah. So, but yeah, in terms of the storyline, so I think it's good. But as an interviewer, so I have the mixed uh, feeling between pros and cons, and uh, that not a plus for me to move ahead with you. Also, next go to clean and maintainable code. So I asked you a question about um, how does clean and maintainable code look like. So yeah, I think that I got some answer from you, like it's easy to read, small commit, good naming variable and stuff. Yeah, but it could be better if you get directly into the point. So does not need to kind of talk around the bush. So just get into the point. What is that? So these are the answer easy to read or small commit or stuff. You don't need to say how many WTF happened during code review and something like that. It's not uh, professional, right?
Yeah, I think so. But I think
Yeah.
we, yeah, but
Yeah,
just we can spend fun.
yeah, because the thing is that during the interview, so we don't have much time. So
Yeah,
it's yeah. Here I only ask one behavioral question, but yeah, there could be more questions. So time is very tight. So you yeah, if you get to the point earlier, so it can save time. So we can do more things.
yeah,
So
exactly.
that's my point. Yeah, in terms of uh, the answer, so I expected that the answer can be a little bit more detailed, like uh, how to define, how to know if the code is easy to read. Like you have to have good naming variables that you call out that, but other thing maybe yeah, broke the function down to multiple functions, so it may improve the code, um, the readability.
Yeah,
Yeah, in some cases, or maybe add some comments, right, for the class, so and stuff like that. So it can make the code easier to read. Okay, and go to the coding question. So it's good that you can resolve the problem uh, at the first attempt, although that you needed a hint about checking the pop, checking if the stack is empty or not before popping it, right?
yeah,
So yeah, um, it would be better if you could cover that case, because that is very common thing, right? When you get something from a list, an array, a stack, so you have to check if the size is um, bigger than 0. Otherwise, so exception can happen. So I think that is it should be a habit for any engineer. So yep. The second thing is that so at the beginning you hardcode the parentheses.
yeah,
So yeah, that actually not a good choice. So you could make it, yeah, I expected that an experienced engineer could make it more extensible from beginning, because yeah, you already got a question about maintainable and extensible code, right? So yeah, that's why I expected that you could do better about that. Yeah. So having something like this, so it looks much better for me. Like, yeah, having a map using a set. This the final solution is good. Yeah, but the way you get it from beginning, so it's not good enough. And yeah, and also something like you mentioned in your answer previously that to make the code more clean, so we need to have a good naming, right? But here you see that the string you name it as, it does not have any meaning. So
Yeah.
yeah, and even yes, see, so this one is acceptable, but yeah, as so we should make the parameter more uh, self-explaining, right? And yeah, and for this one, yeah, I think that you can
Yep.
use
It's empty.
it's empty.
Yeah.
So that's why I could not understand why this one you use is empty and this one you check the size. Yeah. So and yeah,
The typo one here. CD.
yeah, it's okay. Yeah, and I think yeah, I think that you learn how to kind of refactor the code and make it better. So that's a positive signal for a candidate. So yeah, they can show that they can learn and they can improve it. Yep. But for an experienced engineer, so I expect that they can, like you can kind of get it faster from beginning and don't need to wait for hint to improve it. So yeah, in terms of testing, so yeah, I think that you did quite good in and provide enough test case, so there can be more test cases. Yeah, but these are four test case. Uh, yeah, the basic one, and it could point out the issue. So I think it's good enough for me. Yeah. So for the conclusion from this interview, so yeah, it depends on the bar. If you interview as SD1 for a company like Amazon or yeah or similar, so I would say okay, yeah, I'm inclined to hire because you could demonstrate that you have a good logic to solve the problem. You have the ability to be coach and to make the code cleaner and more maintainable. Yep, but as SD2, so I'm not inclined because as you did not show that you could think about clean coding and maintainability from the beginning. So that's it.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Do you have any question about the feedback?
Yes, this is fine, but I think in some case the result the algorithm issue. So not so many people care much about how we name the code, the variable, or how we make the code more extendability. So I think it's up to the company. In some companies, they want to test the ability of the candidate to write code extendable. There's be another issue, just like they ask how to design a game or something like that.
Yeah.
So based on
So
that, candidate will show how to design the game to have some classes. There are some things that they can figure out that they can make the class more extendable.
yeah, so that's why I asked you a question before going to the coding question. So I asked you about what does clean and maintainable code look like, right? So that gives you a hint that you have to write code with high quality, not just to solve their problem. Because you can see that their problem is easy. You could just use a stack, it's shown everything, right? But the thing is that we need to make it like a production like code, not just to make it work. So yeah, in when you interview to a big company, so they will have different competencies assigned to the interviewer to interview you. For example, the competency I took today, yeah, is clean coding and maintainability. So that's why I want you to focus more on maintainability than just solving the problem. So if it's a different question like about data structure or algorithm, so you would receive a harder question and focus more on how to use the data structure or algorithm rather than code quality. So yes, I think that the interviewer will try to give you some hint about what do they want before they ask you the question. So try to catch the hint and follow that. So yeah, that are my advices.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for joining the interview today. So I think that even this is a mocking interview, but yeah, I try to make it as similar as the real interview look like. So I hope that yeah, you got something to learn from this interview, and also other people who watch this video, so they can learn about that, and if they have any kind of opportunity to interview with a big company, so I think that this material can be helpful for them.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So bye bye.
Bye.
Have a good time.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah.